All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. So glad you could join us. Anybody that knows me knows I enjoy speaking to political candidates on both sides of the aisle. Well, that was a little weird. You heard my voice twice. That was strange. Anyway, anyone who listens to me knows that I enjoy listening to different candidates from both sides of the aisle, and I always invite either side to come on the show and state their case. The guy we have with us on the line right now, a former Raider, ladies and gentlemen. That's kind of cool. Nice college career at Arizona State and played in the NFL as a professional football player. Now he's decided to put his name in the ring, so to speak. He's running for Congress out of Arizona, and as a Republican, by the way, and his name is Jerone Davison. Jerone, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm good. I want to thank you for having me on the show. Excited about the opportunity to speak to the American people and to your audience, because we need some changes in this country, and we need some folks that love God and love the people to get in office, because everything isn't about a dollar. We got to start putting value on people again. And once we do that, we can turn this country around.
I agree. So, Jerone, a lot of issues to get to with you in a short period of time. Let's talk about the big issue. I'll be honest with you. How I heard about you was the ad that you put out there. And we played the political ad. And listen, I am not discounting what took place early in your life. You talk about your father and racism, and we all agree systemic racism exists. And I'm on the side of the Black Lives Matter movement. So I'm not going to discount that. But you're running for office now in 2022. Do you believe that would still happen in 2022, that a bunch of Democrats dressed up as Klansmen would come to your house and attack you?
No, well, no, maybe not, but because it's very symbolic, though. But I believe we had a grand wizard in the Senate as recent as 2009 under Robert Byrd. I mean, so the racism, the KKK didn't disappear. I think they're just putting on a different uniform, and the uniform today is the Democrat Party, from my particular view. And also Antifa and Black Lives Matter are also, to me, extensions of the attack Democrat Party.
Okay, let's talk about January 6th. Were those white supremacists alt-right or alt-left?
Well, I believe the people who were there was there based on the First Amendment to support President Donald Trump, as well as.
Understood, but were those Republicans or Democrats? Many of those white supremacists I'm just asking you. I mean,
yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw a lot of people who were there look like Antifa. I believe that it was also some FBI people who were involved in the setup. I mean,
we have a lot. That Antifa were there on January 6th. Where are you getting that information from?
Well, I saw it. I said they looked like Antifa,
but they weren't. We know that.
But where are you getting your information from?
From the courts, from all the people that pleaded guilty, from all their attorneys, from the 600 or 700 people that were arrested, from the FBI. I don't know where you're. With all due respect, sir, Antifa was not there on January 6th. I don't know where you're getting it from.
They were. I was there, and I saw some people that look like Antifa. They were smoking weed and they had gas bombs in their hands.
Smoke weed. You can't be a Republican.
Well, most likely, most Trump supporters are not going to go to a Trump rally and smoke weed.
Okay. I mean, that's the first time I've heard that, but all right, I guess we'll disagree on that one. Charlottesville, with the people that were saying blood and soil, Jews will not replace us. Were those Democrats or Republicans?
I believe those people were plants.
What do you mean plants? What do you mean? Explain that.
Well, let me explain this. I believe that a lot of this stuff that you see as riots and all the trouble like that is nothing but FBI plans, just like they planned that stuff with Gretchen Whitmer in. The FBI planned a kidnap, and the FBI was involved in that. They was involved in January 6th.
Okay, so in the courtrooms of the 700 people, and then we can move on to some other topics. But on January 6th,
in the courtrooms, they have evidence that they refuse to let in. When I get in Congress, I will expose that. There's evidence and footage of the police being involved in opening those doors and letting people in.
So you think the people that were screaming, hang Mike Pence, and the people that wanted to overturn our election, that were defecating on Nancy Pelosi's desk, were not Republicans? You're claiming that they were Democrats.
I believe that there were some Republicans, and they have a right to be arrested. They should have been arrested. I believe some of those were Republicans. But most of them? I believe some of them. Some, not most. I believe those other people were planted. Some of those people who were there, like that young black dude who was there, he was in the building, but he didn't get arrested. You know why? Because he was a part of the operation.
What was the operation?
The operation was to make it look like an insurrection.
Right, and that's kind of what it was, though, wasn't it? I mean, people were trying
Well,
to.
if it's not an insurrection if the police are opening the doors and letting you in. How about that?
If you have one or two police officers and you have 200 people, what
One
would
or
you
two
like?
police officers?
There were some entrances where there were only a few police officers
But
there
why would they open the door?
because they didn't want to be killed, because there were 200 people and they didn't want to fire their weapon. I mean, that's what they said
No,
on testimony.
there's footage of several cops. I mean, many of them, 12 or 13 of them, standing and opening up the doors. It wasn't just two. But
I understand,
if it's your job to serve and protect, you have a weapon on your hip, and you still gonna let these people charge in, or
So
you
you
gonna
think
open the
they
door and
should
let
have
them in?
you think they should have taken out their weapon and started shooting people?
Well, if that's their job to protect people, yes,
So you think one or two officers with a gun to start shooting
they should have
100 or
called. They
200
should have called for help. They should
did.
have called for help.
They
And here's
did.
another thing. Here's another thing.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. should have accepted Trump's offer for the National Guard to be there.
How long did it take Donald Trump to request the National Guard that day, sir?
Well, it wasn't that day. It was prior to that day. He asked them days before the January 6th meeting.
Why is it took him 5 or 6 hours to put out any sort of video condemning the violence and telling people to go home? Why did it take him 5 hours to do that?
I don't know, but why should he have to say anything when he offered them a chance for the National Guard to be there?
Because he's
That's
the
on the
president-
mayor.
Because he's the
That is on
president
the
of the
mayor.
United States, and our democracy is trying to be overthrown, and officers are being assaulted, and people are dying. Maybe that would be a good reason for the president
Well-
to put out a 1-minute video and tell them to go home to end the violence. You don't think he should have done that?
Well, I mean, he did do it. He did do it, but that
took him 5
really,
hours.
the mayor should have did that. The mayor should have been there. The police officers should have been had more of a presence there. President Donald Trump told them days before the January 6th meeting to have the National Guard there. Does that sound like a guy who's planning to have an insurrection and he's asking the mayor and Nancy Pelosi to have it? Why didn't Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. accept the help from the National Guard? Why?
You think the responsibility on January 6th more lies on Nancy Pelosi than Donald Trump?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. Do you believe that Joe Biden is a free and fair elected president of the United States?
No, I don't.
Why?
Because there were great anomalies. And also on February 21st, on February 4th, 2021, Newsweek magazine admitted that they all colluded together to make sure that Donald Trump was not back in office.
Who
And you talk
colluded
about,
together?
but you talk about the same people who stole the election from Bernie Sanders to make sure that he couldn't get in 2016 and gave it to Hillary Clinton. These are the same people.
If that's true, sir, why is it that Donald Trump's own attorneys were 0-61 in the courtroom? Why is it that you have Republican judges, appointed Trump judges, that agree that the election wasn't stolen? You had the attorney general that called it BS. You have members of Donald Trump's own family, members of Donald Trump's own campaign staff, and absolute zero evidence that would prove that there was widespread voter
They
fraud.
wouldn't allow them to admit information and evidence in the courts.
So where is the evidence? What is it?
Well,
Have
the
you seen
evidence is, yeah, I've seen evidence. Yep.
So
There's
what
been
is the evidence that you can share with us that the election went to Donald Trump and there was widespread voter fraud? Because I haven't seen it yet.
Well, the evidence is the drop boxes, the mailboxes, all of this stuff. You had here in Arizona. You have here in Arizona, you had a whole bunch of fake, illegitimate ballots that didn't even have signatures on them. I'm talking about thousands of them.
So
I
you
was
think
there.
thousands of ballots would have overturned the outcome of the presidential election?
Well, you see, it was they say that Joe Biden only won by 10,400 votes, and we have over 30,000 illegitimate ballots.
According to who? Who's putting out that information?
According to Karen Fann and those people that.
So that wasn't verified by any independent investigation. Only Republicans that want Donald Trump to remain in office.
Well, yeah, hey, well, you
don't
asked
have a
for
problem
evidence. There you have it. You asked for the evidence. No,
I understand. I understand. I'm hearing you out, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. Is that when you have far right people that are Trump supporters, and they're the only people that are providing any evidence, by the way, that hasn't been verified by any legitimate.
Well, here's the deal. How is my opinion on the 2020 election going to change the price of gas? How is my opinion on the 2020 election going to change what's happening with inflation?
Sure, we can talk about that. We can absolutely talk about that stuff.
Okay.
But I think if you're a candidate running for office and you believe in what I would consider, sir, with all due respect, a lie that Donald Trump won the 2020 election with zero evidence to support the fact that Joe Biden is not a legit. We can talk about those issues.
Some people think the Bible is a lie, but that's I don't make them evil because they think the Bible is a lie. Some people think
entitled. I understand what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not a Bible person, but we're talking about religion. This is our democracy, and this is fact versus fiction.
Well, here's the deal. That's what I'm trying to. My point is, an opinion is an opinion, and it's not going to hurt nobody for somebody having an opinion. Whether
January 6th, people died on January 6th. So, I respectfully, sir, I'd have to disagree with you. The opinion
people died in religious wars. People died in religious wars.
Right, but if Donald Trump didn't say that Joe Biden was an illegitimate president and that I won the election in a landslide, people wouldn't have died that day on January 6th.
Well, people have a right to petition the government and to be there, and let their voice be heard. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff that's doing worse than that with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. A lot of people died there, but I don't hear you calling that insurrections and a whole bunch of stuff there.
Okay, sure. Well, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. I'd gladly do that, sir, because I have talked a lot about Black Lives Matter. I don't think there's one prominent Democrat that would ever condone violence, but here's the difference.
They have.
Okay, well, let's have a conversation about this, and you can tell me whether you disagree or not. I don't condone any violence in any Black Lives Matter protest. Tens of millions of people were protesting for equality that did not pick crimes. There was a small percentage of people that did some very bad things. Many of them were charged, and many of them were convicted. But I think there is a fine line between protesting for equality. As a black man, I'm surprised you wouldn't appreciate that. And
for equality, the equality of the Democrats has nothing to do with black people.
Okay, well, many black people in this country were protesting for equality, and
those black people were criminals. Those black people were criminals. They were being paid by George Soros and the left to go out there and attack their own businesses in their own black communities.
There were tens of
they were burning down stores, looting. They were stealing and robbing stores in their own community. This took away convenience and jobs from other black people.
There were tens of millions of people that protested throughout the country. You're telling me
and that's why the country was on fire. And that's why the country was on fire.
Okay, but hold on. I want to go by what you said. You're saying of the tens of millions of people that protested the Black Lives Matter protest, they were all paid by George Soros? I wasn't paid by George Soros, sir. I went to Black Lives Matter protest. I didn't commit any
crime. What are you doing at the Black Lives Matter?
I'll tell you what I was doing. The same thing that you put in your video in the 60s with Klansmen, okay?
Klansmen were Democrats, just like you.
Okay, first of all, I'm not a Klansman and I'm not a Democrat.
You're a white supremacist, I can tell.
Excuse me? Did you just call me how dare you?
Yeah, I can tell.
How dare you call me a white supremacist?
You don't even like me. You hate the fact that I'm running because I'm black.
No, sir. First of all, hold on. I've been in radio for 20 years.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is the head of the NAACP.
See, there you go. There you go. Okay. One of my best friends. Your best friend is black. Tell me. Say it.
Okay.
Say it.
What have I said on this show?
Your best friend is a black guy, right?
What have I said on this show that would lead you to believe that I am a white
supremacist? You are a racist and a white supremacist. Look at your face. Look at your face. You're turning red now.
Yeah, because I am pissed off. Because
you are a racist.
What have I said that's racist? Name me one thing I've said on this show that would lead you to believe. What a disgusting thing for you to say. You are not a serious candidate.
Yeah, you should not be on radio pushing your white supremacy.
Okay, and I ask you again, what have I said that would lead you to believe I'm a white supremacist?
You tried to make out like black people being out there burning down cities is not an insurrection and damage to this country.
Wrong. I said that I don't condone any violence, and I want.
It ain't about what you said. You said that it was okay.
So I ask you again. What have I said that would lead you to believe that I
told you what you said. I told you what you said.
You're not making any sense. You haven't made any sense.
Neither are you. Neither are you.
Really? Trump won the election. Antifa and George Soros. I went to Black Lives Matter protest because
you went to Black Lives Matter protest because you know that Black Lives Matter is nothing but an arm of the Democrat Party. Black Lives, tell me, why aren't you in the black inner city stopping black folks from shooting each other?
Well, interesting you say that, sir, because let me tell you, the good people in this country, like me, I am not a white supremacist.
You're not good.
And for you to make that statement is idiotic.
I can see it.
Okay, I'm not good. I'm
not
good because I want
you're a white supremacist.
Okay, so you're just going to continue to call me a name, sir?
Well, it's
would
true.
You like to have a conversation?
Let's conversate. No, you want to bring me on here to attack me about some opinion of mine. My opinion is not going to stop Joe Biden from opening that border And my opinion is not going to stop Joe Biden from bringing inflation and high gas prices. An opinion is nothing. It doesn't hurt anybody. It's just an opinion.
I would like to continue this interview with you, but
Well,
I'm not
go
going
ahead.
to be
Let's do
called
it.
I'm not going to be called a white supremacist.
Well, hey, listen.
I'm not.
In my eyes, I
parents
see what I see.
Okay,
I call it like I see it.
Well, in your mind, you say things that a buffoon would say. Okay, so
Yeah,
don't
all
call
right.
me
Well,
that
I'm a
again.
buffoon and you're a white
well,
supremacist.
Okay, if you want to continue to call me a white supremacist, you know, I don't want to do that. If you want to talk about issues, I'll talk about issues with
We
you.
haven't talked about any issues yet.
Oh,
You're talking
okay,
about something January 6th.
So Donald Trump isn't an issue. January 6th isn't an issue to you, sir.
No,
Black Lives Matter isn't an issue to you.
How is that going to change the gas prices of things currently now?
Okay.
Okay. The price of food is off the hook.
Gotcha. Okay.
Fentanyl is coming to this country. Sex trafficking, folks are dying at the border.
Okay.
How is that changing current affairs?
Okay. Well, first of all, an overthrow of our democracy is kind of important.
It wasn't an overthrow. Our democracy has not been overthrown.
It was an attempt to overthrow our democracy. That's exactly what it was, sir. But if you want to talk about gas prices, I'll do that.
An attempt. Okay, you want to call it an attempt? It has not overturned.
Okay, but an attempt to overthrow our democracy is a serious crime, and there are people in jail right now who attack police officers. I guess you condone that sort of behavior because that's what happened on January 6th. People died that day, and 140 officers were injured. But I guess that's okay with you because you think it was George Soros and Antifa, which is ridiculous, by the way. Let's talk about gas prices. If Joe Biden's at fault for all the gas prices being up in this country, then why is gas up pretty much all over the world? Is that Joe Biden's fault too?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay, so gas being up in France is Joe Biden's fault. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound?
Well, hey, listen, when you stop us from producing our own energy right here, well, then Russia can charge any price. They can charge a higher price for their gas, and this is why gas is up over there. The gas prices are up in Europe. Well, Putin couldn't do that as long as we had our own oil and our own production here in this country. So then when we cut off our pipeline, Putin could charge a higher rate for his energy and for oil and gas from Russia. And this has now enriched Russia.
What does it have to do with France? How is that Joe Biden's fault?
France have to buy. He forced them to have to get oil from Putin. That's Joe Biden's fault. Don't you think so?
Joe Biden forced everybody else all over in the world to get gas from Putin. No, sir, that's not true. I would also say that the war in Russia in Ukraine has a lot to do with gas prices being high. But I guess you don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about the real issues. What policies that Joe Biden put in place are the reason why gas prices are so high in this country? And why is it that some of the gas companies in this country have more record profits than they've had in over a decade?
Because of Joe Biden. Because he's against, the Green New Deal and the energy. They're cutting the green energy. Now they've admitted it. They've admitted it that this is a way for them to force people to accept the Green New Deal. I guess you don't know about that either.
No, but I'm a white supremacist.
Hey, man. Yeah, you are. And thank you. Bye.
Okay, well, I think you're a moron, sir, quite frankly.
All right, cool.
You're a moron.
See there? The white supremacy is coming out in you.
You hit too many times in the head, and it has nothing to do with the color
look at that. The hate is coming out. Put your hood on, brother.
It has nothing to do with the color of your skin.
Put your hood on with it.
You're a moron. You're stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no chance.
Put your hood on when you say that.
Too many times in the head. By the way, you say you played in the NFL. What'd you play, like 6 games? You didn't even have an NFL career. What is your education? How are you qualified to be a congressperson? Yeah, exactly. Well, I got to tell you something, folks. That guy is a complete moron. And I actually am embarrassed that I even gave him a platform. By the way, he just did the Alex Jones show. This is a guy who called me a white supremacist. This is a guy. I have to collect my thoughts here for a second because this guy is far right and worse than I thought. This is a guy who says, I'm just trying to review some of the idiotic things that this guy said. This guy said that George Soros paid all these Black Lives Matter protesters. This is a guy who said Antifa and Democrats were the majority behind January 6th. How can you take anybody like that seriously?